bumps along the way, but nevertheless, a win is a win.
Hermit would say you play to win the game. It doesn't matter how you get to the win. And Coach Payton has said it several times this season. You just play the game that's required to win that day. Today's win had to be an ugly win. Started off slow defensively. Really never got in gear offensively, except Alvin Kamara a little bit. But for the most part, the Saints struggled with this game, and yet won at 27-13. It's 6 straight wins. They stay atop the division, and that's the main thing. Win, stay atop the division, and you worry about everything else later.
We'll hear from head coach Sean Payton here shortly inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. We'll get you over to his podium as soon as possible, as you can see on your screen right now. You mentioned this offense, and there are a few players I want to highlight as we go throughout the show, but let's start with this offense. What do you think attributed to that offensive struggle? Obviously, we know Drew Brees is dealing with a rib injury, starting at the second half, but before that, it seemed like there wasn't really a flow.
Well, I think San Francisco did a really good job of scouting to do. They swarmed Alvin Kamara early in the game, and the Saints just couldn't find rhythm, even on the initial third down play where Drew Brees misses Michael Thomas. It just seemed that the rhythm wasn't quite there for the offense. And really, this is a game that the defense and special teams won. A couple of fumble recoveries by Marquez Callaway, feature on Dome at Home. A couple of fumble recoveries.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. A couple of fumble recoveries by him on punt returns, and that turned out to be huge for the Saints. But offensively, they never found a rhythm, which was a bit surprising because of the way they've been playing the previous 3-4 games.
Do you think Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, obviously they kind of shared the load in the second half, a little bit more Jameis and then a little bit more Taysom there at the end, but do you think they did okay, or how you were expecting without a game plan going into today's game?
Well, yeah, you just wanted them to come in and caretake it and not do anything to lose the game down the stretch. Now, Taysom Hill lost a fumble. That didn't help, but you just wanted them to manage it down the stretch, see if they could get out of this one, because I don't know if a lot of people understand, during the week, the number one quarterback takes the lion's share of the snaps with the first team. So he's the one who establishes the cohesion and the rhythm. For Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, they don't get an opportunity to establish that. Now, maybe they will as they go along, and this week depends on what happens with Drew Brees, but certainly they didn't have that opportunity last week. Maybe they should be able to work their way into it a little bit more next week.
You can hear Saints fans pouring out of the Mercedes-Benz Superdome behind us, all hooping and hollering, all with their masks on, 6,000 strong inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome today for the Saints game. And you talked about Marquez Callaway, a huge addition for this team. He's stepped up, especially when this team has needed it. He came up with 2 big plays. Not only him, Deontay Harris, he recovered quite well. He had a muff punt at the beginning, and then he comes back, 75-yard punt return, the best of his career.
Yeah, he's going to hear from his teammates for getting called on that one, because, you expect him to take it to the house. But that is the long of his NFL career, and it came at a really good time, because a lot of times if you make a bad play, as he did on the muff, sometimes guys might go into a shell, but it's obvious he is an all-pro. He's a guy that they trust, and they want him to handle that football. And so that was a great bounce back by him, by Deontay Harris. And Marquez Callaway, what do you say? This is one of those games where, you play hard, and you might not recover 2 fumbles on a punt your entire career. He does it in one game.
Yeah.
That is significant, especially the way the Saints were playing, because at the time they needed both of them. They were in the not precarious position, but they needed both of them. Both of them were huge momentum swings for the Saints.
And again, you're seeing Saints fans pull out of the Mercedes-Benz Superdome here behind us. We're waiting for Sean Payton. If you're seeing someone come to the podium, that's our PR person who is anxiously waiting. Sean Payton's there at the podium. But if you didn't get a chance to watch the game, Drew Brees did go out at halftime or around halftime. He was listed as questionable to return with a rib injury. We'll have more for that available for you throughout the week on NewOrleansSaints.com. Of course, you will bring that information to us, JD. But some players, as I mentioned, I wanted to highlight for the Saints: Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, CD Deuce, CJ GJ, whatever you want to call him, and Demario Davis. Huge impact players today for the Saints.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson actually started off a little bit rocky because he had a personal foul penalty early in the game, and then he comes on strong. I thought probably his best game since last year at Chicago. Big win for him. He started that game, he had an interception, didn't produce an interception in this one, had a sack, but he was all over the field applying pressure. And Demario Davis, I don't know what to say about his game. At one point, he had 12 tackles. That was his Saints career high, and he was just a guy who knew exactly where the ball. It was almost as if it was a magnet. He knew where it was going to be. He came up with an early sack, and that early sack actually helped because the Saints defensively were in the red zone. That forced a field goal, and again, a big momentum play for the Saints. So I think Demario Davis and C.D. Deuce really led this defense. And of course, it's a team effort, obviously. You get Patrick Robinson with an interception. You get Malcolm Jenkins with a pick. You get some more pressure from the guys up front. But those two guys, the way they played, they were schemed to really just let loose, and they got to the football and created some mayhem for San Francisco.
As you hear Saints fans behind us, and JD, we didn't really get a ton of time to talk about it in the beginning or in the pregame show, but Quan Alexander for the Saints, the newest player for the Saints, coming over from his former team in the San Francisco 49ers. How much does having a linebacker like him on this squad open up things for a guy like Demario Davis, who you saw had an impactful performance today?
Well, one thing we saw from Quan today, he can run. Yeah. He can get to the football. So now he's going to have to wrap up a little bit better because we saw him miss a couple of tackles. But he can get there. And you have that athleticism. You put him out there with a Demario Davis. You rotate those guys out with an Alex Anzalone. And I think you've got the athleticism that you want in a linebacker core. Now, the Saints play a lot of two linebacker, not three linebacker. They'll play a lot of big nickel with C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the field. So that's how they kind of mitigate not playing three linebackers, because if you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson out there and you've got Marcus Williams and you've got Malcolm Jenkins, you've got your three safeties, so you play it that way. And that's kind of the way the NFL is now. You play a lot of sub packages anyway. But Quan Alexander, I thought, showed pretty well. I thought we saw his athleticism, his ability to diagnose and get to the ball again. Now he's got to wrap up and get the guy on the ground, but I thought he did a really good job of getting to the ball, and that athleticism will serve the Saints well.
Head coach Sean Payton, Alvin Kamara on deck. We'll get you over to the podium as soon as we can, but another player another subject we talked about at Dome and Home Live on the pregame show was the pass rush, and David Onyemata. It seems like time and time again, David Onyemata is just that consistent player on this Saints front. From day one, they said he was a bull, a guy who just collapses pockets up the middle. He creates a lot of pressure on a quarterback because you can't really step up if he's constantly in your face, and we keep seeing it game after game after game. He's not rolling up sacks. That's really not what a defensive tackle does for the most part, unless his name is Aaron Donald. But for the most part, you collapse that pocket and you let the guys on the edge clean up for you. And David Onyemata has been doing that. He did get the interception last week off the tip. But again, we see him in the backfield continually applying that pressure to opposing quarterbacks, and it makes life easier on the defensive ends and on the guys who blitz off the edges, because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson got his sack on a blitz off the edge. Demario Davis comes up the middle on his blitz where he gets his sack. A lot of that happens because of the occupation you have to have in the middle with those defensive tackles. What about Malcolm Jenkins, JD? I feel like he has evolved a lot on this Saints defense. It's his second game in a row now with an interception, and it seems like at the beginning, he kind of got out of this Saints defense for a few years. Oh, by the way, won a Super Bowl, came back, things were a little bit different, but it seems like now he's finding even more rhythm in the Saints defense. I keep saying this, and I know it sounds like an excuse, but it really isn't. They didn't have an off-season, and so he really didn't get an opportunity to dive into the defense on the field. Doing it in a Zoom meeting and doing it on the field, two totally different things. Oh, now we got a head coach Sean Payton, yep.
Sean, what can you say about the decision to not play Drew in the second half, and what can you say about his condition?
Look, he took a heavy shot in the first half, came in. As he came out in the second half, he felt it was really impacting him, so I'm not, specifically, he'll get an MRI and x-ray. His back felt sore as he tried to throw. He just came up to me and said, hey, I don't feel like I'm capable of playing. And so quickly we made the switch, and, that happens sometimes.
Could he have gone back in, like in an emergency? I asked that because
he stayed on the sideline. I'm not going to get into the hypotheticals as to what percent, all those things. Obviously, he stayed on the sideline, and so, but he looked strong enough about letting me know, and I know when he does that, which is kind of probably going to be the first time in 15 years that it was significant enough where he felt like he couldn't function in the second half.
Sean, what does that say about him just to be able to tough out that first half like that, though?
Yeah, I when he got hit on that one play, I could tell that it affected him, and so he hung in there and battled, and then I think that break we had at halftime, obviously, it didn't get any looser or better.
Sean, how prepared did you feel like Jameis was for this moment?
I think well. I think on a bigger note and probably less visible to you guys, Josh Hill and Quan, those are significant guys involved in the run game. And that, I would say, created also a slew of just things that we've got to be better at relative to replacements.
Sean, what's the biggest challenge when you've got a guy who probably hasn't taken a lot of reps with the offense this week and you're dropping him into a tight game like it was?
Listen, I'm proud of him. He led us to an important scoring drive, led us to another field goal drive. The one thing I would say with Jameis too is he's extremely bright. So functioning and understanding what we're doing, he's someone that picks it up quickly.
Sean, how impressed
is Alvin a player that
the past 2 weeks?
I didn't hear the question.
I was asking how impressed have you been with the defense especially these past 2 weeks, just allowing 1 touchdown over 2 games?
Listen, I was impressed tonight. I didn't like how we started, but then I thought we settled in and played well.
Sean, this seems like a fairly obvious question, but how have you seen Alvin just step out throughout the season? You guys have lost some key players along the way, and it just seems like every game he's out here delivering and making big plays for you guys.
Yeah, I would agree. He's a big part of what we're doing. Thought Latavius had some good runs today as well, but I would agree with you 100%.
Coach, what kicking game today? The punts on both sides. The fact that they played in the game today, Coach, the punting on both sides, the fumbles by both teams on punts today in the game.
What's the question?
Just your observations on the fact that they played in the game today. It seemed to be a pretty big factor.
Yeah, look, they were. Obviously, the first thing I would tell you is both teams, gunners, had an impact on the returners. In other words, I don't know that either team, when we look at this film, will be happy with the jammers and the holdup.
Hey, Sean, when you did have to make that quick kind of change to Jameis, how did that impact what you all did offensively, play calling as such?
No, I think what impacted our play calling more than anything was when Quan and Josh went down. That all of a sudden now there's some different things you're doing with receivers relative to your blocking schemes. Jameis was up to speed on everything we were doing. I think just as importantly, at halftime, we were trying to arrange the personnel groupings to handle a lot of the stuff we were doing in the running game.
Sean, were some of those changes why you guys had to burn a couple timeouts early? Was just the changes in the personnel packages and getting that sorted out?
Love them. I'm late. I'll do a better job with that, and we'll clean that up. But yeah, listen, it ended up being pretty significant.
Demario Davis seemed to have an impact rushing the passer today. Is that part of what Quan Alexander brings you, is an ability to have him cover and maybe let Demario rush more?
Well, we've rushed Demario a lot. We consider him a pressure player. And the other thing is Quan is one of those guys that rushes well. So when you have that flexibility, it puts pressure as to how you're going to mic or choose to bring your offensive line. So that's good to have. Last one.
Sean, you've kind of navigated this kind of unprecedented season all year with changes. You preached to your team about that. Is this just another example of that where you guys are going to have to go forward calling audibles?
Sunday and our season's going to be full with change, and that's part of adapting. And whether it's injury related, COVID related, timing sequences. And, I think that we're battle tested that way. We'll continue to work on it. We'll see where these guys are coming out of this week's game and get ready for a rested Atlanta team that's playing well. Thank you, guys.
All right, we have Alvin Kamara. If you guys have a question, put it in the chat and I'll call on you. First question's from Jeff Duncan.
Hey, Alvin, just can you describe what it was like for your team on the sidelines for yourself when you found out Drew wasn't going to go back into the game and y'all were going with Jameis?
The game's not going to stop for an injury. So Drew went down. Jameis has been practicing all week just like everybody else. He stepped up. He executed. He did what he had to do. And, we came out with a win. So that's what we want to do week in and week out. And we're able to do that. We're moving forward.
Next question's from Amy Just.
And it wasn't just Drew. It was Traquan, Josh Hill. The list continues. You even went over there to help up CD. What did you, say to Chauncey in that moment when you were running back with him?
He just walked in. I told him get his ass up and get to the sideline. We got a game to finish. So it is what it is. Thankfully he was all right. But this game we play, injuries happen. It's 100% injury rate. So we got to deal with that. We know that coming into each game, and we're prepared for it.
Next question's from Larry Holder.
Alvin, how much does it help that you guys went through this in a game last year and having Teddy come in and working with someone else that maybe you're not as familiar with on a day in and day out basis?
I practice with Jameis every day, so I'm familiar with Jameis. And he's familiar with the offense because he practices in the same facility that, Drew practices in every day. So when Drew went down, Jameis just came in and did what he does all week. And he studies the same game plan, and he knows what we want to do, and that's win. So when Jameis came in, it is what it is. We still had to play a game. The game doesn't stop for one person. So we were able to get a victory. Got to clean some things up. It wasn't a clean win. But we'll take a win. A win is a win.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Okay, what was the huddle like making that switch midway through the game? How did Jameis kind of do just in that respect, kind of commanding the huddle? Yeah, so what happened was Sean called a play and Jameis heard it and he got in the huddle and called the play and we ran it and executed it. And, that's kind of what happened. Every play that Jameis was in, Sean gave him the play, he called it, and, we executed the play.
Last questions from Nick Underhill.
What's to say about this team the last 2 years that it seems like anybody can get hurt and you guys still find a way to win?
This team is resilient. We practice like that. We prepare like that. Everybody's tuned into the game plan, no matter who it is. Like I keep saying, that's the message I'm trying to kind of present to you guys is that, everybody is locked in no matter what. Jameis is in it. Jameis isn't Wednesday through Saturday. He's not at home, because he's the second string quarterback. He's in there getting his reps, going over the game plan. He knows what's going on. Just like Josh Hill goes down, just like Traquan goes down. This sport does not stop for one person. There's no postponing the game. There's no hold on, wait real quick. We got to keep moving. It's unfortunate, but we know the nature of the sport that we play. So we just keep moving.
We're all set. Thanks, AK. All right, we have Malcolm Jenkins. If you have a question, put it in the chat and I will call on you. First question is from Doug Mouton.
Hey, Malcolm, could you talk about the interception that play wound up being huge in the game?
Yeah, I'm just in zone coverage, so just normal zone drop, and quarterback I think tried to squeeze it into like a second window, was able to get up under it. But obviously, takeaways was a big deal in this game, especially as we got ready to try to close it out.
Do you think he didn't see you or he thought he could get it over you?
Don't know, don't really care. But he threw it, and we looked for those opportunities. We had a few this game that we didn't come up with. So, that's been an area of emphasis for us.
Next question's from Larry Holder.
Malcolm, how much has your comfort level grown within the defense, even within the past month? It seems like you've been really, good in pass coverage and that sort of thing. How much have you grown just even over the past month, comfort level within the unit?
Yeah, I think we talk about, and it kind of comes off as a cliche, but it's real. I think it's real, especially the question. Each week we're trying to get better, and that includes me. I think the coaches have done a great job of putting me in positions that I'm comfortable with, that I do well. But also I've had to adapt my game to do some things that are outside of my comfort level to play the role in the defense. And I think both of those areas have been improving every week that we go out here. And so for me, we got so many playmakers in our secondary and our defense. I understand that there are going to be times I'm going to play a role, and there's going to be times where I'm going to be called upon to make plays. And so we just find that balance as we fine tune this.
Next question's from Rod Walker.
Hey, Malcolm, this defense has given up one touchdown in the last two weeks. What does it just say about you all and where you are right now?
I think it just says we're improving. That we go to work every day. That we try to fine tune our game. That the things that we do in practice aren't in vain. We show up every single week. And we're a team that's focused on the process, not really locked into too far down the road. We're just right here in the here and now. What can we improve on? How do we get better each week? No matter who the opponent is, how do we put our best tape out there and compete? I think those things won't change.
Next question's from Nick Underhill.
Was this team a good test for you guys for where you're at as a defense with just all the misdirection and making sure you guys are, I assume you got to have your eyes in the right place, and you caught off that bootleg at one point. Is it just like a good team to test your defense against just on those fundamentals?
Yeah, I think last week was a great challenge as far as personnel, right? Personal individual matchups based off of who's out there. And I thought we answered that call. This week was going to be a unique challenge for us on defense because it was going to test our discipline, something that was our Achilles heel earlier in the year. I think was really a better marker of who we are as a defense. And I think, when we add the talent that we have on top of being disciplined like we needed to play today, it's an encouraging sight.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Kind of speaking about encouraging things, you guys have really turned around like the red zone defense. You made another goal line stand this week. How important is that for you guys to kind of just find those stops in those situations there?
It's important. I think, at some point in time during the season, we're going to need, those plays to show up. And so every time we get down there and we make those plays, we get more and more confident. I think, Dennis Allen's done a great job of fine-tuning the plan so we can go down there and play fast. A situational football, we understand wins. The later and later you go into the season, the better the competition gets. You're going to need to be good in those situations. Obviously, we haven't been up until this point, but we're going to continue to work on it and hopefully continue to improve.
All right, Malcolm, we're all set. Thank you. All right, we have CJ Gardner-Johnson. Put your questions in the chat, and I'll call on you. First question's from Amy Just.
I guess natural question. How are you feeling after that one? Going down, getting back up, that type of stuff.
Man, it was flash, but I'm just happy we got the win. We got guys that come in and step up regardless. So I'm just happy that we went out there, competed, and had fun.
What did it mean to you that Alvin walked all the way over to you when you were down and helped you back up, and maybe said something to you?
It showed you that everything that we had going around, there's a lot of stuff going around my name when it comes to a pest guy, a fighting guy. No, my teammates got my back and I got my teammates back. So it shows he wouldn't do that just for me. You do that for everybody. And I'll do that for anybody on my team. So it don't matter. You see, when we do something good, we all react how everybody come on the field. So it's not just an up and down thing. It's just something that we always do. We got each other's back.
Next question's from Jacques Doucette.
They let a few more fans in the Superdome today.
it still feels pretty bizarre. I mean, what was it like out there, even with just a few more? Did they help you at all today?
Man, be honest with you, the fans that we got, the best in the league. So the more we got out there, the more make it harder for offense to go out there and read and hear what's going on. But just going out to get your feet set, playing within yourself, and then the fans are just off the wall. You know, they're gonna do what they do regardless. So we gotta just go out there and have fun and give them something to chip up.
Next question from Mike Triplett.
CJ, you guys obviously had a really big performance last week, but it was a rout. Was it important for you guys as a defense when needed, when the offense was struggling a little, to really put your stamp on a win like this and say you can carry them once in a while? I know you did that a couple of games when Teddy was getting his start at quarterback last year too.
We put our stamp on this game regardless. We don't just worry about the offense. We can't play offense. We got to go out there and play defense. So whoever got the ball, we're going to go out there and just stop them. So we get it back to Drew, Jameis, Taysom, whoever back there, so he can get to our playmakers. So them getting off slow, it happens. It's football. You gotta get your feet set up under you. See, we win it, came in the game, came back in the second half, put up points, stopping them. So we feed off each other. And it's a team thing.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
So I got two. I'm sorry, real quick. Just the first one, my internet cut out and I didn't hear your answer. Did you say you're good? You're healthy? Like the injury's nothing to worry about?
I'm good. I ain't worried about that.
And then the second one, just the way you guys have been playing on defense the last 3-4 weeks, but really the last two, do you feel like you guys are beyond some of those eye discipline issues in the fundamentals, and do you feel like you're really starting to lock in now?
Man, what people say. Everybody, we know what issues we got. We know what we got to do. But to answer your question, we're just locking in. We're getting settled. We're trying to become a great defense. We're not trying to be good. We're trying not to be average. We're trying to go out there and just do our job and not let nobody down. So we're ready to go out there and compete next week. Let's go.
Do you feel like you guys are working towards that level of greatness you're holding yourself to? You feel like you see the steps towards that?
If you've seen these past 2 weeks, you'll answer that yourself. So, I mean, I don't like talking. I'd like to go out there and play. And that's what we've been doing, is giving y'all results after I don't know how many people talk about this defense. I mean, we feel like it's a slap in the face and disrespect that how people just think we just going after a couple games. Nah, we just getting better. We just getting started.
We're all set. Thank you, CJ. We have Marquez Callaway. Put your questions in the chat and I'll call on you. First question's from Amy Just.
Yeah, two huge plays for you on special teams today. How did that feel to not just get one, but two fumble recoveries there?
It felt good, being able to help any way to put our team in a better situation to win. Anything like that would be good. So even if we had one, I would have been good with one. But the fact that I got two, it made it even better.
You ever have a game before with two?
I can't recall, but I'm glad it happened. So now I can mark that off the book.
What was it like having Jameis in the huddle there after Drew went out?
What was it like? It was like
just the difference.
Oh, it was good. Jameis knows what he's doing. He's not new to anything. So the fact that he was able to go out there again, actually play in the second half, I felt like he knew exactly what he's doing. He was happy. He was confident. So we did what we could in the receiving room to help him out any way we could. So he really didn't need us. He knows what he's doing. So we just went out there and played and continued to play.
Next question's from Doug Mouton.
Yeah, Marquez, Sean Payton said that the gunners on those punts made a big difference on those two fumbles, and that was you. What actually happened from the way you saw it? I mean, we can't hear what's happening on the field up here. What actually happened, especially on the second when you're standing right in front of him and he drops it?
I mean, really, that's all what happened. Our job is to get down there and cause a fair catch, and that's what we did, and he just happened to muff the ball. It happens to everybody. It's just it fell in our favor today, so we were glad that happened, and we was able to get two recoveries.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you've never played gunner until the NFL?
True, that's true. I got some reps at it, but officially, no, this is my first.
So just what's the process been like for you learning that position? And I mean, the success you're having really quickly is very impressive.
Well, thank you. Really, we got to use our speed to outrun and just get down there and make a difference. Like I said, we're trying to cause a fair catch or get down there and make a play. So, like you said, everything's just rolling in our favor. And we're just happy, and we're going to hope it's going to keep rolling.
Last one's from Luke Johnson.
Marquez, you talking about Jameis, you said, it's not a big deal having him in there. He knows what he's doing. So I guess how nice is it for you as a team to lose a guy like Drew Brees and then be confident in the guy who's coming in behind him?
Well, we have the thing, we said it a couple weeks back, but, next man up mentality. Everybody here is here for a reason. So everybody knows what they're doing. Jameis practice just like everybody else practice. So it's not a big deal. There's nothing to get scared of or nothing to worry about whenever somebody goes down, because we know everybody's being coached the same way. Everybody's learning the same thing. So when somebody goes down, it hurts, but next man up, we got to keep going. We got to keep rolling. And we have trust in anybody that hopefully nobody goes down. But if it happens, we have trust that next guy coming in is going to carry the job and do the same.
We're all set. Thank you, Marquez.
What, Sean?
All right, we have Jameis Winston. First question's from Larry Holder.
Jameis, I'm not just talking knowing the playbook and all, just coming in on the fly. I mean, when's the last time you've even had to do that? I mean, because you've been a starter in this league and in college. When's the last time you've just had to come in on the fly?
Probably 3 years ago against the Chicago Bears.
Next question's from Amy Just.
What was the conversation like between you and Sean and Drew and whoever was talking about, like, okay, you're going into play to start the second half?
Just get your helmet and go. It was just like that. So I got my helmet, got prepared, started throwing because we had the first possession in the second half, and that was that.
Did Drew give you any indication before halftime that he wasn't gonna go back out?
Before we left out, like, he was ready to go. That was a on the field decision, and he just gave me the go ahead, and he was helping me the entire way.
Next question's from Luke Johnson.
Jameis, if you had to just kind of change the way you're looking at things this year, knowing that you're only going to go into a game in these sorts of situations, and how do you stay mentally sharp, knowing that you are just kind of one play away at any time?
Just prepare the same way that everyone else prepares on this team. I try to give everybody my all. I try to be right there with Drew along the way, watching film with him and preparing with him. So I felt like I went out there and I was prepared to lead this team, and I'm happy that my teammates had my back and they went out there and executed well, and things went our way.
Next question's from Nick Underhill.
How comfortable did you feel with what you were doing, given that this was the first time in 3 years you jumped into a game midway through it? Was it a natural going in, or did it take a little bit to feel the rhythm?
I was very comfortable. I was excited that I had a marvelous opportunity, and I just knew that my main job was to go in there and do what Drew would do. So just protect the football and try to lead us down there and score.
Next question's from Mike Triplett.
Jameis, what's your evaluation of where you are in this offense right now, and how important is it to get to test it out on the field these last 2 weeks?
Well, every day I'm just trying to get better and better. My main job is to serve my teammates and help put us in a position to win the football game. And we all fight in this thing together. So I'm happy that we had a great team win today.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, and it wasn't just Drew going down. Traquan went down. Josh Hill went down. I mean, the list continues. A couple of offensive linemen missed some time. So how important was that just to keep the game plan ahead of you, no matter who was next to you or in front of you?
We do a great job in all of our rooms of being prepared. and the guys that came in, and include myself, we were excited. We were confident, and our main goal was to go out there and get a team victory, and we did that.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
James, just early in the season watching it and then today being out there with him, just how impressive has it been the season Alvin Kamara's having and the way he just steps up every time? You know, Mike's down early in the season, Drew's down today, and it just seems like he's very reliable for you guys.
He is who he is, and I'm truly blessed to have a teammate like him. He's an incredible talent. He's an incredible person, and he's an incredible teammate. So when you have guys like that in your locker room that literally approach the day the same way that you do, you just really cherish them and just love playing with them.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Jameis, I saw you and Drew kind of looking at the tablet together there on the sideline a couple of times. What sort of advice is he giving you in those moments? Is it just very basic schematic stuff, or
going through the course of the game, like I would do on any time? Typically, when the offense finishes the drives, we go over there and we look over the board. This time, since he wasn't playing, I had the opportunity to just ask him some questions, see what he was seeing, and just gather information from him and try to apply out there on the field.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Obviously, last week and this week, you went in two very separate situations, very different situations. Did going in last week, even in those final few minutes there, help you at all, at least kind of get the jitters out?
Yeah, absolutely. Just getting that game experience is always good. But I've been there before, so I'm just happy that I got a chance to go out there and just help my team get a win today.
Next one's from Larry Holder.
Jameis, how much did you appreciate Saints fans enjoying you eating the W?
I appreciate it more when my teammates rallied around me and really embraced it. I think it's so great to be in an environment with such great men and women coming to work every single day. They knew that was a big deal. We were happy that we were able to sweep a division opponent, and we just had to move on to this next game.
We're all set. Thank you, Jameis.
Thank you.
Good word. Wow.
It's in the chat. First question's from Nick Underhill.
Demario, are they as good of a test as there is just as far as, checking to see where your fundamentals and eye discipline are with all the motion and different stuff they do?
Yeah, it's a challenge, especially interior-wise. You have to be really sound to understand, like, the shifts. They're going to give you a shift, and then they're going to give you a motion. Then they're going to give you a turbo motion, and then after the play, they're going to swap a guy back. So you have to have really good eye discipline. Our coaches gave us a good game plan where we didn't have to do too much thinking. We could just lock our eyes in the right spot and kind of key off their movements and get in the right position, and it helped us a lot.
Next question's from Mike Triplett.
Demario, each game takes on you guys always say each game takes on sort of different rhythm. Did this one feel like one where the defense was going to have to put their stamp on it and take that ownership of the game, and how important was it for you to be able to do that?
It's a complimentary game. When you get to November and December, you got to play the game that's in front of you, but you have to play good football in all phases. Offense did a good job of capitalizing when we were in position. Our special team made a ton of plays, proving that they're one of, if not the best special teams unit in the game. And defense, we knew we had to play with phenomenal effort and energy and urgency to go against a good offense that was able to come in here and pretty much exploit a lot of our holes last year, or force holes and opportunities to create last year. So we knew what type of offense it was coming in, and we knew what type of football we needed to play, and just proud of the guys and the way that they stepped up and played at a high level.
Next question's from Doug Mouton.
Yeah, Demario, how good do you feel about where you guys are as a defense? Last 2 weeks have been pretty good, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you want to be ascending. You got to be ascending. There's no time to peak in this game. Each week you got to be getting better and better. So you congratulate yourselves when you get a win. That's what it's about in this game. So, appreciate the win, but to find the areas that you didn't do things so well and correct those and keep ascending. And that's a good thing, is that we're playing at a high level, but there's still levels that we can grow and even being in the right spot, seeing things and kind of anticipate things before they happen. So that's encouraging, that we're playing at a high level and we still got room to grow. That's what you want to be doing at this time of year.
Next question's from Amy Just.
Yeah, obviously you were on the field with him, so you're not watching everything that he's doing, but how would you assess Quan's play from what you did see?
Oh, phenomenal. It jumps out. The first thing I kept telling him when he comes to the sideline is, oh my goodness, you're so fast. He just flies around. You can see it even in practice, how fast he gets to the ball. He's always going to have a lot of shots on the ball and just, be a high impact player. And that's great, because that's the type of defense we want to have, is 11 guys swarming to the ball. And then, make sure you're taking your shots when you get there and trying to get the ball out. I mean, he was yelling at the defense all night, let's find ways to get the ball. And so, he's going to be a guy that just makes our defense better, and definitely excited to play beside him.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Would it be correct to say that a lot of the things he does well are some of the same things that you do well? And how much does having him maybe free you up to do more, or to do some different things?
Yeah, I think at the linebacker position, where you see the game going, linebackers like myself and Quan even more so, is the type of linebackers you see on the field, guys that can play well in space, that can cover, that can pressure the quarterback downhill in the run game. That's just kind of the trend that the game is going. And so, playing with a guy like that and beside him, you can see it. You can see it. And I told him tonight, man, I think you're going to have an unbelievable career. And so, I'm just keep encouraging him. And, he turned me up, I turned him up. And so I think it's going to be a unique opportunity, bringing a guy in like that. We have a phenomenal room already with guys that can go in and be ready at all times, and just bringing in a dynamic player like him is just going to make us better.
All right, we're all set. Thank you, Demario.
Thank you. You guys be blessed.
All right, we have Drew Brees. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat. First one's from Jeff Duncan.
Yeah, Drew, can you just tell us what happened to your injury and why you pulled yourself from the game?
I was not going to be able to be effective. It had nothing to do with pain. It was simply just what my body was going to be able to do or not be able to do.
Next one's from Amy Just.
When did you, realize that at halftime while you were in, right after you got hurt, or, when you were taking some time away?
Yeah, you always worry about halftime because you sit for so long, and so when I came out in the second half and started throwing the ball, it became really apparent that I wasn't going to be effective.
Next one's from Rod Walker.
Hey, Drew, what was that last, 8 minutes and 42 seconds of the first half like for you then? You battled through it. How tough was that for you?
Yeah, listen, that's part of the game, but just, trying to take advantage of the opportunities that we had, just doing whatever we could to try to get the lead before halftime. Obviously, we didn't play very well offensively in that first half. The first quarter, I think we had 3 plays. We had a 3 and out, and then we had another 3 and out early second quarter, and so it didn't start well for us. But then our defense stepped up and played fantastic from the second quarter on. We got some big plays, special teams. We got a big kick return. Got a couple plays on the punt team that were huge in this game as well. And so all around, we just found another way to win as a team. It wasn't pretty, but we found a way.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
Drew, do you expect this injury to be something that affects you this week? Is it short term, long term? Can you tell?
I'm just taking it one day at a time. I've done that this entire season, and I'll continue to do that. I'm not sure what tomorrow holds, but you can know I'm going to do everything I can to be as effective as I possibly can come next week.
Next one's from Larry Holder.
Drew, having been able to work with Jameis throughout the season, how much do you feel like he was prepared for be able to come in and play kind of on the fly?
Yeah. Listen, I thought he played great. Listen, that's a tough job, you know, especially when as elaborate as our game planning is, you know, on offense especially, to come in and be able to execute that offense is very, very difficult, especially if you're just, you know, kind of coming in midstream. And had a big chance to really get, you know, get all the reps and that kind of thing. And listen, I thought he did great. I thought he had great command of the huddle, and everything, you know, kind of went off without a hitch. Obviously, you know, nothing's perfect, but I thought he made some great throws. I thought he made some really good decisions, and obviously took advantage of the opportunities that he was given out there.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Sean said that your injury didn't get better at halftime. Was it something that was stiffening up? Is that kind of what it was? And you maybe cramping up some kind of?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Listen, I can't really describe it other than it was preventing me from doing my job.
Next one's from Catherine Terrell.
Okay, Drew, you said it wasn't about pain, but are you in serious pain right now?
I wouldn't call it that, but it's just something. It's definitely something that needs to be dealt with here.
And the official designation was that it was a rib. I just wanted to clarify that was correct. That was what you're dealing with.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean it's a cumulative thing, probably not just one.
Next one's from Mike Triplett.
Drew, apologize if this was already asked, but when you were playing through it at the end of the first half, you just felt a little more comfortable, or you were even questionable about coming in and doing that? And then how good did it feel to have that 2-minute drill drive before you left?
I actually felt terrible before the 2-minute drive, but just had to find a way.
Next one's from Brett Martell.
Drew, could you tell us a little bit about the hit on which you were injured? Obviously, they were flagged for it. Was it your impression that it was a foul? And then when you talk about doing everything you can to be effective next week, it sounds like you don't believe it'll be a long-term thing, but I don't know if I'm reading that the right way or if you really know.
Well, no, I mean, nothing's a long-term thing. It's just a matter of how long it's going to be. And honestly, I really don't know. It's not something quite to this extent that I've experienced. So like I said, I'm just going to take it one day at a time. You know, the hit itself, I heard the officials saying that, you know, it was, you know, by rule, you know, he drove me into the ground, and that'll bring a flag.
Last one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, and it wasn't just you that went down today. Lots of guys went down today. Traquan, Josh Hill, you know, you can name like 8 of you. How important is that no matter who or how many of y'all went down, that y'all still found a way to win today?
Listen, I think it says a lot about our team. It says a lot about our coaches. It says a lot about our grit and determination. And listen, time and time again throughout this season, we've had moments where guys have been down at key positions and other guys have stepped up and done a great job, or those around them have just, you know, elevated to a new level. And once again, that's what happened again today.
We're all set. Thank you, Drew.
Oi.
All right, we have Cam Jordan. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat.
You gonna make me follow up after Drew? Come on. You know, after Drew talks, everybody turns off the TV.
First question's from Jeff Duncan.
Well, Kim, I'm going to ask you about Drew. I mean, look, you've played with that guy a long time, your whole career. What was your reaction when you heard he couldn't go in the second half and had to pull himself out?
Drew knows his body, and and our team, we've overcome a lot of things, a lot of adverse situations. This is not one of them. This is something that we trust Drew in knowing his body, and if he says he's not going to be effective, then we'll leave it at that. We also have Jameis Winston. We also have Taysom Hill. We also have Mike Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders healthy. And the way our defense was playing, we love our team. If one of our leaders can't go, the next man up will go. And, we still have AK and Mike Thomas. I mean, our depth and talent is huge right now.
Next question's from Nick Underhill.
Kim, it seemed like you guys did a really good job against them in all areas on defense. Are they a good test for some of those fundamentals and stuff you guys are working to get on point, which is the way they design their offense and all the moving parts?
So the question was?
Are they a good test for the fundamentals in just the eye discipline and all the stuff you guys have been talking about for weeks about getting on point? Do they test those things as well as anybody just with how their offense is designed?
I feel like they almost had to test the eye discipline this week. I mean, when it comes down to it, they did a lot of shifts, a lot of motions, all the smoke and mirrors that you're going to see. But we came down and we played our ball. And when we play our defensive style, we play our ball. It's hard to win against us. I mean, for all the pressures, if you're not going to drop 7 yards, or at least have a 5-yard drop, if you're going to stay at 3 and just try and get quick and outs, you're going to pay for it. And I think our defense took advantage where we were supposed to.
Next question's from Amy Just.
Between last week and this week, y'all have given up one touchdown. Just how important is that, especially right now?
Week in, week out, what's important to us is getting this win. And when you talk about how we come together as a defense, how special teams have created turnovers, how, our team has rode for each other. You talk about how, Traquan takes a hit over the middle that, in my mind, is targeting or whatever it is. Our team rallies around each other. We're a family, and our family bond is strong. So as long as we get the win, all that other stuff is for debate, I guess.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
Kim, can you just, comment on the impact that David Onyemata seems to have every single week? It seems like he's playing really, really well.
Monster in the middle? Yeah. Once he gets started up, I try and tell people, I'm like, that's a lot of rage and a lot of power that's in the middle. I was like, if you start that engine, just know that Hemi can go. He's got all types of power. And we do our best to just play off of each other. When he starts going, though, once he starts getting to talking and you start seeing the veins go here, it's not anybody who can really get in front of him.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, a question of a similar vein, but about DeMario. I mean, he was everywhere today and, usually is, but 12 plus tackles, I think it was. Just how important is he, too, with everything?
I mean, when you have the defense rolling the way you are, I mean, if the quarterback steps down 7 yards, Trey's on the right side, I'm on the left side, David is putting pressure up the middle, you got double D, and now, you add in Quan. I mean, guys are coming at it downhill at a fast pace. And you're seeing product. I mean, when you talk about Double D had a sack and poor running back was in his way. That collision was always going to be in Double D's favor. When the way he covers ground, I mean, he's hybrid for a reason. I love the way the defense is playing. The shots that we're taking. I mean, we could have had 2 more interceptions today. Double D should have had 1. I mean, he would have had 12 tackles, a sack, a PBU, and an interception. If his hands was a little stronger. We're gonna get his right grippers right.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
Just taking it back to David, like the switch that you mentioned with the veins popping out and everything, he's like the lowest talker in the world and seems like a really subdued guy in regular life. So where does that switch come from with him when he's out there?
I don't know. We have a D-line joke that, he's a whole king of a village somewhere back home. But when he gets on the field, once them traps raised, it's usually over for folks.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Would you say you're happy with the way the defense is playing overall these last 2 weeks?
We're stopping the run at a high rate. we're getting after the passer. With pressures will eventually start turning to sacks if quarterbacks actually decide to do regular drops.
All right, that wraps it up. Thanks, Cam.
Yeah.
That was defensive end Cam Jordan. But before that, JD, clearly an upset Drew Brees. He's competitive. He's going to be upset anytime he's dealing with something that's going to keep him off of the field. He said to Sean Payton before the half that he didn't feel 100%. He said he wasn't going to be effective. And then he's set to have an MRI this week. What's next?
Well, that's exactly what's next. Have the MRI. If Drew Brees pulls himself from a game, you know it's serious. We know how seriously he takes this business. We know as far as athletes, he is in tune with his body as anyone has ever been. So if he says, I can't be effective, he knows exactly that he can't be effective. Now, what specifically is wrong, that's what the MRI and that's what the x-ray is for, and they'll be able to make that determination. But if Drew Brees pulls himself from the game, you know it's got to be serious.
A few players we'll keep an eye on for the Saints as the injury report comes out later this week on NewOrleansSaints.com and the Saints app. All right, JD, I'm tired of hearing you complain about how cold it is. Let's call this a wrap. Fans will leave you with some highlights over the win. Saints win 27-13, their 6th one in a row, and get that win over the Niners tonight. For the New Orleans Saints postgame show, John DeShazier, Caroline Gonzalez, thanks for watching.